Scooby-Doo, Scooby-Doo, Scooby-Doo.
On this episode of the History of the Course podcast with Curtis and Josh, we finished our look at the band from the land of the Canucks, known as Silverstein. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at IsSurvivedByPro for news and the latest episode postings. And make sure to subscribe to the show, leave us a 5-star review, and write us a comment on YouTube or whatever podcast service you're using. Make sure to check us out on TikTok and give us a follow at IsSurvivedByProductions. And if you'd like to see us do some live streams, leave us a comment or tweet us the keyword stream. Now, without further ado, let's start the show.
The devil is in Atlanta, army surrounded.
Welcome back to the History of the Chorus podcast, where each and every episode we're taking a look at the history of a band from the core genre. I'm Curtis. With me, as always, it's this guy. It's a cool guy over here with the. Is that a lemon on your hat? What is that? Orange?
It's a lemon.
Okay, I can't tell because half the time it's like blending in with your screen. So
I know the green at the top is not great.
yeah, it's kind of like it's a lemon. Nice, lemon man, Josh. How's the lemonade business?
Fantastic.
That's your company's logo?
Yeah. With inflation right now, the cost of lemons is through the roof. So we're actually able to charge $20 a glass for our lemonade.
Nice.
Business is booming.
Booming.
People got to have
Nice, man.
lemonade,
You gotta have your lemonade on these hot summer days.
I gotta overcharge them for it. So.
Oh, speaking of hot summer days, did you see the news report in England that they broke the, what is it, like 32 degrees Celsius mark or whatever, and they're freaking out. And people are posting about it on Twitter, and like the conversion is like 86 degrees. They're freaking out over 86 degrees. Come on, people. That's nothing. It's so hot.
Does it just not usually get that hot over there?
I guess not. I mean, I don't know.
Weird. I mean, it's like the middle of summer.
I don't know. I live in America. That's all that matters.
I know about that. I know about the seasons
that.
in America.
Yeah, I know about that. I didn't know that. I didn't realize there was other places in the world. I thought the world revolved around us. I thought the planet and the sun and everything
just
revolved
America
around
and
America.
Nothing else.
Yeah. Yep. Except for Canada, which is what we're talking about. Josh, today we are officially on our 10th episode of our Canadian invasion series. Yep, that's it. We are continuing our look. Actually, we're finishing our look at the band known as Silverstein. Now, before we get right back into the history and the albums, Josh, coming up here, you made a comment to me on the last episode. Let me see if I can jog your memory here. You had said something to me. I think it was about the Shipwreck in the Sand album. And I think you were specifically talking about his vocals, maybe the music and vocals together. But you had drew a comparison to Atreyu, the band Atreyu, that was a record label mate of theirs on Victory Records. Do you remember that?
Yes.
I'm just gonna watch you until you go for like a smoke. I'm gonna ask you a question and be like, never mind. Yeah, so I went back and I kind of listened to some Atreyu stuff, and yeah, I could see that. I could see the point that you were making there, especially when I listened to the Redo albums by Silverstein. They did a re-recording of Vices, which was the second song off of Shipwreck in the Sand. And at times his vocals really sounded like Atreyu back in the day. And I was like, wow, okay, yeah, I see what he's saying. And so I went back to Shipwreck in the Sand, was listening to Live, and I was like, yeah, Okay. I'm hearing what Josh is hearing now, so I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, vocally and then
Was there a little bit of music
musically.
to it too? Okay.
Yeah, musically for me, it was the Death Grip on Yesterday album.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah,
Cool.
that's kind of it's a different one for them. I feel like that was where they started to get a little bit more melodic in places.
Atreyu.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I still really like that album. That was the last one that I was like, yeah, this is like really good.
Good. Yeah. Start taking a nosedive.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool, man. Well, so where we left off was a lineup of Shane Toll on vocals, Paul Russo on guitar, Josh Bradford on guitar, Billy Hamilton on bass, and Paul Kohler on drums. We had just left off at 2013's This Is How the Wind Shifts. So now here we are coming into 2015. The band would embark on a 10-year anniversary tour in honor of their sophomore album, Discovering the Waterfront, playing the album in its entirety. By the 10-year anniversary mark, the album had sold over 400,000 copies, man. That's close to 500,000 for all those people who are math people. Just in case you didn't know, 500,000 is 500,000. I'm smart. Yeah. So according to the band, by the 10-year anniversary mark, they had hit 400,000 copies sold. After finishing this anniversary tour, the band would announce the release of their next full-length album on a new record label, as their time with Hopeless Records had ended. So now they're going to be working with Rise Records worldwide, but locally in Canada, they would be on New Damage Records, which we've talked about that label before. I think it was Touche Amore. May or no, was it Touche? No, I think it was Cancer Bats because that's a Canadian. So it'd be Cancer Bats that put out some albums on New Damage. The album that I'm talking about is 2015's "I Am Alive in Everything I Touch," produced by Jordan Valerote. I probably have said his name about 5 different ways by now. He's worked previously with Silverstein on their last couple of albums. Much like their previous releases, This Is How the Wind Shifts and A Shipwreck in the Sand, this release would be another concept album told in 4 chapters. You have Borealis North, Australis South, Zephyrus West, and Urias East. So they're kind of broken up in 4 different chapters. Each track setting is a different city that geographically falls into that region. When talking about the record's concept, writing, and recording, vocalist Shane Told stated, quote, "All the city clips we recorded, the transitions, and making sure the concept really worked, and told this story of loneliness despite being surrounded by so much excitement. As much as I've put myself out there over all the records we've done, there's something more real about this one. At times I almost stopped myself and said, is this going too far? Am I going to say something I'm going to regret? And after taking a step back and a few breaks from writing, I decided I needed to do this." What did you think about the concept, Josh, on this album? Could you hear a concept? Could you hear a
No.
clear, crystal clear concept?
No.
Me either. I'm not really sure if he's like going for this vague concept over these albums because they're not like straightforward. And we talked about concepts in the last episode where it's like you're either, and I think you mentioned it, where it's like you're either you're kind of like there, but it's not really clear, or you're in like way too deep, like Alisana
Yeah.
or Coheed and Cambria. I
Yeah.
think is the 2 bands that you brought up. But yeah, I don't, again, I don't really feel like a clear cut like concept when I listen to this album, you
Well,
know?
I don't understand why, like in these last couple albums, they're always like, oh yeah, it's a concept album, but it's actually 4 concepts like broken up
instead
into
of one.
pieces over an hour. Okay, I'm like, okay, is
And
it?
then but then I told you, I said, because they had said, I think it was Shipwreck in the Sand. And he was like, it's a concept album. It's about this, but it's also about this, this, and that. And I'm like, isn't so you're telling me there's like 4 or 5 different stories? And I'm like, isn't that just like a regular album at that
Yeah,
point?
that's just an album.
That's just an album. So it's like, I don't know. But I think too at the same time, like this era where you have, I'm Alive and the Wind Shifts and Shipwreck, that 2009 to 15, that's a big era for like concept albums, I feel like. So maybe it's just like, oh, it's the trend, let's go with the trend.
Yeah.
So this album was included on the Noises, quote, the 27 best albums of 2015 so far list. And fun fact for you, we talked about violins on the last couple of episodes throughout their discography. The violin you hear at times was performed by Anna Jarvis, who worked previously with Silverstein on A Shipwreck in the Sand, Transitions, EP, and Rescue. And this would be her final album with the band. So a nice little departure for the sixth member of Silverstein. So songs in on this album include in chapter 1, you have Toronto Abridged. You have A Midwestern State of Emergency. You have Face of the Earth. In chapter 2, you have Heaven, Hell, and Purgatory, Buried at Sea, and Late on Sixth. Chapter 3 has Milestone, The Continual Condition, Desert Nights, and then the finale, chapter 4, has In the Dark. I'm not French, but I'm going to try this as best as I can. Je me souvenirs. That was pretty good. It sounded pretty good. It sounded French, you know. And then you had the final song, Toronto Unabridged. Uh, let's hear it, Josh. Give me your thoughts.
They may souvenirs.
Is that how you say it?
Souvains.
Je me souvenirs.
Souvains. Je me souviens.
Je ne sais quoi.
I actually don't hate this album. It goes up and down. It's not like old
It's a roller
Silverstein.
coaster.
And as each album goes on, I do find myself being like, what band is this again? Because they get really far away
We're getting
from,
into the good stuff here, buddy.
are
In
we?
terms of like, no, in terms of discussion for our episode.
Yeah.
That's what. Let me finish. Let me finish.
Yeah, I don't know. It starts to kind of go down from here. And I feel like almost every song on a couple of those last two albums has somebody doing guest vocals through a breakdown. Like I don't know. It's just I don't know. They get kind of weird.
Well, yeah, we're gonna talk about it because I got some things to say about it too. But yeah, I'm with you on this album. It's kind of a roller coaster at times. There's a lot of highs, but there's a lot of lows.
Yeah.
I love the way it starts out with the first 3 songs. Of course, the first one's just short intro, but and Heaven and Hell and Purgatory is good too. I really like Late on Sixth. That's a good one. Oh, I was gonna use the lyrics from that song. How did it go?
Late on
Uh,
six.
yeah, at the very what do you say? I stopped when I reached the end and I yelled as loud as I can, "Don't go!" And I get like in the background of my head, I could just hear like the crying sound effect. But
Yeah.
it's good. That's a good one, I think. Nice little change of pace for them to kind of slow it down there and be a little atmospheric with their music sound. Um, yeah, Milestone's good, In the Dark's good. But yeah, it's just kind of a roller coaster to me, album.
Yeah.
But do you got any favorites or any songs that stood out to you?
I mean, I'm kind of with you. The first few tracks are, I think, kind of the best. Um, I don't think I saved any of the later ones here.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
remember
it's just
thinking, like, I remember thinking Desert Nights was like kind of lame, like kind of tacky.
yeah, I wasn't a big fan of that one. Wasn't a big
Um,
fan of that one at
like
all.
In the Dark and Face of the Earth both have some like pretty cool guitar lines in them.
Mhm.
But yeah, I don't know. And looking through like the lyrics on a lot of this album too, I'm just like, none of this is really doing it for me.
Still getting sad boy vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I don't know. It's to me, there's in the second half of their discography, and I'm classifying their second half as when Neil Beauchart leaves and Paul Russo comes in on guitar. So I'm talking from This Is How the Wind Shifts to present day. I feel like there's two different blocks in that group, and I feel like the first block is This Is How the Wind Shifts and I Am Alive in Everything I Touch. It feels like those two are kind of like similar to each other, but like once we get into like Dead Reflection and beyond, to me it's like they turn the production work up, and it's like nothing like these two albums just because like the sound, and they seem like they're going a little more edgier, kind of punkish, kind of, but not really punkish. I don't know, but I
Mm.
don't know. Well, I should. I'm saying punkish like lightly
Be
because it's
careful.
more like. Well, no, I'm just saying like more like almost like teenage. I don't know, man. It's just weird.
Teen angsty.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah,
Teen angsty. So I don't know. And I described it to Eric. I was talking to him earlier today. I described it to him as these next three albums are, to me, they're just albums in their discography. They're okay to me, but they feel like they've gone,
they're too digital.
well, they feel like they've gone mainstream in their genre. Not really like something you would hear on the radio, but like I don't know. They just sound like everybody else in that genre in this time, you know?
Yeah.
Everybody's kind of going digital. They're doing the little drum beats here and there. The guest vocal stuff is a big thing anymore. It's like we gotta have guest vocals, man, because everybody else is doing it, you know? And I don't know. It's not my cup of tea, but like I said, I don't hate the next three albums, but we talked about it again. It's like the Silverstein that I know is When Broken is Easily Fixed, Discovering the Waterfront, Arrivals and Departures and Shipwreck in the Sand era. That earlier, that's the Silverstein that I know and I grew up on, and Get Off My Lawn.
Yeah.
So no, I don't know. And I feel like that when I start saying that about some of these bands that we talk about. But I mean that's what I grew up on. That's what I know. And I don't really like the turn that a lot of these bands are, taking their direction, or whatever.
Well, I mean, if that was
Re
the sound that you liked,
right, yeah,
it's basically like listening to a different band at a certain point.
right. Did you ever listen to Amberlin back in the day?
Yeah, a little bit.
They put out a new song, like I think just this last week. Two problems with it. One, they went way too digital with it. And two, their vocalist, who's been the same vocalist all these years, it does not sound like him at all, dude. Like what he used to sound like. I mean, it sounds like a totally different guy. And at
Yeah.
first I was like, is this a different vocalist? Like I had to go look it up. And I'm like, this is not good in my opinion. This is just not good. But
By
and I
the
used to
last
like
couple
Amberlin, man.
by the last couple albums, I can't tell this is Shane,
Yeah. Well,
Like
and that's one of the things I told Eric too. I said I feel like they turned the production work up, and one of the things that jumped out to me the most was, besides like the digital work, was like his vocals. It's like they would like double it and like triple it at times, and so it made it sound almost like kind of electronic, like robotic kind of.
yeah.
Which I mean, sometimes that can be kind of cool if you have a certain vocalist. And I didn't hate it on Shane, but yeah, it's just like this is a different band. You guys are going in a way different direction than what
Mhm.
you used to be. But I don't know. But yeah, anyway, let's move on here. That's 2015's I Am Alive and Everything I Touch. After touring to promote the album, the band would co-headline with Senses Fail and would release a split EP with them entitled Tour Split, showcasing a song from each band's newest released albums. Silverstein did In the Dark, and Senses Fail did My Fear of an Unlived Life. The band would premiere a brand new song entitled Ghost on Sirius XM. The band described Ghost as a standalone single to prepare them for the next album, even though Ghost ends up being on Dead Reflection. So that's kind of a interesting quote there. Um, I liked Ghost. I thought it was a good song. This is kind of interesting though. I want to hear your take on this. I'm pretty sure I know what the take is. So when they recorded Ghost, it was recorded with new producer Derek Hoffman, who we're going to talk about here in just a moment because he does Dead Reflection. So he produces that song, that single, but they end up having 10 different people mix this song from quote all walks of life just to get like I guess like a different they just want to like be like, okay, we want 10 different mixes and then we'll just like pick the one that we want. What why? What's the point? It's a single, first off.
Yeah. I that's weird. Okay, so it wasn't like 10 different people collaborating, right?
No, it was 10
Okay.
individual people. Like they sent it to 10 individual people and said, okay, mix this, and then we'll get back to you and we'll see if we like your version or not.
I don't like that.
Yeah, it's really weird.
It's weird. It's very impersonal.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Yeah, that I don't know,
It's
it's
it just
very
like
strange to
it
me.
seems over the top too to do that for just a single. I'm not saying
Yeah.
that they should do that for a whole album, but just like it's a single, guys. Just release it
Oh,
and be
I
done
thought
with
you were
it.
saying they did that for the whole album.
No, they did that just for the song Ghost when it was released as a
Oh, okay.
single.
Well, I don't know. Maybe they're like shopping for a new producer.
No, 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 no. The producer was Derek Hoffman. It's
Oh,
the
okay.
mixer.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. It's kind of an interesting idea, but then at the same time, it's kind of like just release the song, dude.
Yeah.
Why? What does it have to do with the fans? Do it for the fans, people. Come on, think about the fans.
And like you're not even gonna be there while they're mixing it. Like a lot of times you're in the booth, like
Right.
there's a discussion.
Hmm.
Everybody talks about this, but you just recorded it and then shipped it off to people to listen to and do whatever they want with it.
Yeah, it's a little interesting. I don't know. Well, let's talk about Dead Reflection, Josh, from New Damage Records in Canada, and I always want to say California. I put CA in my
Not
notes to
California.
represent Canada, but yeah, I always want to say California. New Damage in Canada and Rise Records throughout the world. Produced by Derek Hoffman. Now this is going to be interesting to you, Josh, and we'll see what you think about the album after I say this. But Derek Hoffman did work with Stick to Your Guns on the albums Disobedient, Better Ash Than Dust, and True View. Does it change the album sound to you at all?
There's like the guitar is like very anthemy, like in
Mm-hmm.
a lot of places.
Mm-hmm.
There's some of that, like there's some light gang vocals, in a
Right,
couple
yeah.
places. So yeah, I guess so. I guess I could see that.
Okay.
I don't
He's
know if
also
it makes it any better for me,
okay.
but
He's also done work with the bands Seaway and the Flatliners, and guitarist for Silverstein, Paul Russo, also collaborated with Derek on this album. Talking about the writing of Dead Reflection, Shane Toll stated, quote, going through the last year of my life, I've learned so much about myself, and at a relatively old age, I think that's been really productive for me. Despite going through these dark times, I've ended up in a place where I've never been happier. I've never felt more confident and alive. That's a great message to pass on to people. It doesn't matter whether you're a teenager or in your 30s. You can find that happiness, and sometimes you have to go through hell to find it. That's what this record is about. The element of hope has always been in our band. We want to preach positivity. Yeah, positivity. It's just that sometimes you have to go through darkness to get there. At the core, that's what Dead Reflection is about. End quote. Did you get that from these songs, Josh? Did you feel the positivity? Did you feel the good vibes?
I guess maybe.
Where? Where's the good vibes?
Right as you said that, I got to a part in Aquamarine where he was like, "You packed your shit and
Yeah,
left."
right. Good vibes right there, man. Good
Oh, okay,
vibes. Before the release of the album, the band would give a look into the writing and recording of the album through a documentary made available to fans online. So that's always nice. I always do enjoy a good little documentary of making of the album by bands. I think Norma Jean did that for Wrongdoers and Polar Similar. That was nice. Silverstein's done it before. They did it with Shipwreck in the Sand. I remember seeing that. I feel like there was some others. Manchester's done some stuff like that too, I think. But yeah. Songs on this album include Last Looks, Retrograde, Lost Positives, Ghost, Aquamarine, Mirror Box, Demons, The Afterglow, Cut and Run, Secret Safe, Whiplash, and the finale, Wake Up. My personal opinion, I feel like the first two songs they didn't really hit with me, so I felt like the album kind of took it a little bit to kind of like get into it. And then I like Lost Positives and Ghosts and some little parts here and there. I did like the finale Wake Up though. I thought that was a good little finishing song to the album. What do you think, Josh?
all right. So I saved Retrograde. I think it was just because of that opening guitar riff. Um,
Yeah, how
I
did it
don't
go?
know. It's the it's the but I thought it was interesting that this album is in a
With the slide at
custom.
the beginning too, man. Sorry.
Yeah,
Gotta
yeah,
love a nice little
it's
guitar
pretty
slide.
sick. Um, this album is, well, at least I know at least the first track here, Last Look. Sometimes they vary, but most of the time it's the same. No, it does. They do change it up. So it's a custom tuning for Last Looks. And it is BADGBE. Um, so like a half step down. And then on retrograde, they're in drop B. So I wonder if it
Hmm.
continues to change. Yep, they go back to the custom tuning for lost positives. So I wonder if that custom tuning is going to be the main tuning. No, and then they switch to drop C. This album's all over the fucking place.
See, but isn't it? I've always kind of now correct me because I'm not that deep into albums, but it was always kind of like I always thought that was like when you make an album, it's like you're supposed to be really being like one tuning.
It it doesn't have to be that. I feel like I'm just gonna say that I think a lot of bands do that. When we were
Right.
looking through the earlier Silverstein albums, there was consistency with it was either all standard tuning or
Yeah.
all I think they do I can't remember what the tuning was on This Is How the Wind Shifts.
Yeah, you
But I
said it like you
remember that
remember.
that was the one that was like the variant. That one was different. It wasn't standard tuning.
Well, maybe that's what I'm going off of, like more earlier albums back in the day, but like, and maybe it's kind of a trend now where it's like people just don't do that and they just kind of bounce around on songs,
Yeah.
you know?
The it looks like they ride out drop C like through the rest of the album. So the first time I mentioned drop C right there, yeah, they go drop C like through the rest of the album.
Mm.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
That's
Can you
interesting
see
though, because you
that?
would think like you would want a continuous sound for a full album, though. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like
Yeah,
that would like break up the flow of it. I mean, there's definitely you wouldn't be able to transition into new songs or whatever.
I can definitely tell. Like
That's
just
different
flipping
from
through
song to
them.
song. Yeah.
Yeah. And then from
But
like like from Aquamarine or Mirror Box, like almost through the end, it's drop C.
yeah, I think I'm just like, of course, you're more deep into that stuff than I am, but like, I think I'm just getting like taken taken to the side by like the overproduction. This is the thing that I don't like about bands nowadays is I feel like things are getting way too overproduced and I don't like that, man, because
Oh
you
yeah, I
know
don't
me.
like the overproduction.
I love my raw albums, man. My Norma Jeans and Chariots and early Silverstein and Come Back In, all that stuff. You know I like that way, man. I like raw. I like raw, man. Yeah. So uh
Yeah, the yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. All a lot of those bands, not well, not even the ones you mentioned, but a lot of bands now are, even if they weren't like that before, they're shifting to a more it's too digital. It's too
it's just
digital.
too
That's
digital,
the,
man.
it can be summed up just by saying it's too digital.
It's funny because Eric made mention to me today about one of your favorite bands, Memphis May Fire.
I won't hear it. I
Um,
won't hear about Memphis Mayfire.
no, he was complaining about him because we were talking about again the digitizing and overproduction and everything like that. And he said he had seen them not too long ago, and it was like it's getting to the point where he feels like all the members are probably going to end up leaving, and it's just going to be Maddie because it's like he's taken over everything. And there's like a part in their show where it's like he said everybody leaves the stage except for Maddie. He does a song and it's all like backtrack stuff. It's like, what? Why do you even need those guys then? I mean,
That's
if
it's
that's the
so
direction you're
weird.
going, yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
come on, man. Yeah, I don't know, man.
Yeah. I won't hear about Maddie featuring Memphis Mayfire. I
Maddie
won't.
featuring. I like the way you put it there. That was good. That was good.
Or Maddie and the Memphis Mayfire. That is actually kind of a cool
That's a
name.
good one. Maddie and the
Yeah,
Memphis Mayfire.
it's kind of a cool name.
Okay. Hmm.
Um,
Maddie May Memphis Fire. Memphis Maddie Mayfire. Maddie
what what
Mayfire.
what say you about this album?
Well, like I said, these next three, this one included, Dead Reflection, Beautiful Place, and Misery Made Me. They're okay. There's a term that is being thrown around in I hear it in like football, American football that is. They call it's an acronym, it's called a JAG, and it stands for just a guy or just another guy. And basically what that is they call you a jag. You're basically just somebody plugging a spot on the roster. You don't really have all these talents. You're not really special. You're just there. And that's what I kind of describe these three albums is they're just another album. It's just an album in the discography. It's it's okay. It's not terrible. Um, it's not the Silverstein that I know. And like I said earlier, I feel like Silverstein, starting from Dead Reflection and on, has gone mainstream in their genre. It's like they're just starting to sound like everybody else. They're doing the things that everybody else is doing. with the production work and the digital sounds and stuff like that. Everybody's putting electric drum beats in at some part in every song, it seems like. And I don't know, man. The one thing that I feel like would separate them from other bands is, and this to me, this goes throughout their whole discography, is whether it's lyrically or musically, specifically more lyrically, they have catchy songs. And I found several songs off of this album, the next one, and the one after that that get stuck in my head because they're just catchy, you know.
Yeah.
So I think that's one thing that kind of stands them out. But I don't know, like I said, they're just these three albums, they're just another album in the discography. They're just there. They don't
Yeah.
jump out to me. They don't do anything for me. They're just there. And like I
I
said, I
know.
don't hate them, but they're okay. They're just there, man.
Yeah, I saved two songs on the first one. I saved one song on the last one, and I didn't save anything on Beautiful Place or Misery Made Me.
Okay.
So
Yeah, if I had to pick like my least favorite, well, I don't even know if I want to say favorite in that phrase, like of Dead Reflection, Beautiful Place, and um Misery, the one that does it the least for me is probably Beautiful Place. It takes kind of a dip out
okay.
of those three. But yeah. You got anything else for Dead Reflection, Josh? Let's keep on
No,
chugging. Let's keep on chugging.
it's just gonna go further down from
Yeah. Well, let's
here
talk
for me.
about let's talk about something else here in a second. From their studio albums. In late 2018, the band would embark on the When Broken is Easily Fixed tour to celebrate the 15th anniversary of the album's release. The album would be played in its entirety, as well as a list of greatest hits from the band up to that point. It's basically the same thing that they did on the Discovering the Waterfront anniversary tour. At this point, the band's contract with Rise Records had ended after their previous release, so they're looking for a new label. In 2019, the band would release Redo the First 10 Years, which was self released and produced by Sam Guiana. Guiana? Sam I Am, who has done production work on his own band named July, We Were Sharks, Like Pacific, and Heavy Hearts. So there's two different Redo albums, Josh. There's the first Redo, the first 10 years, and then there's Redo 2 that's going to be released during COVID. Um, so we had talked before about a lot of times at this point in the years, there's a lot of bands doing, re-recordings of full-length albums that were, popular and such. We've talked about that before in previous episodes. This time, Silverstein's basically picking songs from all of their albums and re-recording them. So they're not re-recording like a whole album. They're just doing more bits and pieces here and there. Did you get to listen to either one of these two albums?
This is live, right?
No, this is not live.
Oh, it says it's live. It says
Where?
live in London, live in Los Angeles, live in
Where'd you see it? Whoa,
Atlanta.
whoa, whoa. Where are you seeing that at?
On it's when broken 15 easily fixed.
No, 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 no. This is we're past that. We're not on the tour deal. This is 2019's Redo the first 10 years
Oh,
album.
okay, gotcha.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know why I thought you were talking about that because you said they were doing the when broken is easily fixed tour, and so I just connected with that. But I gotta
No, no,
say,
no.
on this live one, his voice sounds amazing.
Does it? Okay.
Like
I'll have
his
to listen
clean
to that.
vocals sound great.
Okay.
Like I'm listening to November. It was live in London,
Mhm.
and yeah, it's really good.
You have to give it to him, dude. His vocals have come a long, long way. And we were just talking about
They're like really
when
strong.
yeah, we were just talking about when broken is easily fixed and like how raw those screams were. And we talked about too, just like his clean vocals. I mean, they definitely have come a long way. I will give him that. Um, Definitely one of my favorite vocalists for sure. But yeah, did you get to listen to either one of these two Redo albums?
I listened to maybe it was the first one.
Okay. Yeah, I always go into these albums, these re-recorded albums. I always go into them cautiously. And I've made my point before about certain albums being, nostalgic and personal and, liking the way it sounded before and, oh, this guy's vocals have changed too much or maybe the musicians have changed too much too and maybe too many, member changes or so on and so forth. And so it's like, I don't know if I really want to hear this. This is actually good. Both these are due albums. I was actually well pleased. And I think I'm going to piggyback off of what you just said about the live album where they were doing When Broken Is Easily Fixed. His vocals, dude, are so strong on this redo album, on these re-recordings. What did I say? Did you do something wrong? What happened? Well, you
No,
making a
you're good.
face.
You're good.
What happened? What are you talking about? What are you making faces for? Oh boy. This can't be good.
It's exactly the same.
What do you mean?
I was listening. Okay, so I don't really care for or Redo 2. I don't really like the version of November. I love that song and I
Okay.
don't like that version of it.
Okay. Okay.
Um so it's they're not terrible albums, but I don't care for that version in particular.
Did you listen to My Disaster 2.0? So it's on the
uh
second redo. It's weird. It's
I
like
don't
you're trying to
know.
combine, it's like they're trying to combine two different like genres into one song. You need to go listen to it and tell me what you think
Okay.
because it's just kind of like weird at times. It sounds disconnected. That's one thing I have a problem with a song on these redo albums. But they on this first redo they re-recorded "Smash into Pieces," "Smile in Your Sleep," American Dream, Bleeds No More, My Heroine, Vices, which also featured Liam Cormier of Cancer Bats, came back and redid that one for him. You also have Your Sword versus My Dagger, If You Could See Into My Soul, Giving Up, Still Dreaming, Acoustic, Red Light Pledge, and Call It Karma. And then I guess while we're talking about Redo, I can skip down and tell you about the other Redo album, which will come a year later, released during COVID. The songs on this one is My Disaster 2.0, which Josh is listening to right now. We'll get his live reaction here in a moment. They also have You're All I Have, The Ides of March, November, Worlds Apart, World on Fire, extended version on Major Mountains We Conquer, Hear Me Out, Already Dead, California Acoustic, Waiting 4 Years, and Arrivals Departures. What do you think so far, Josh? Give us your live reaction.
There's a little too much going on there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, what is happening?
Yeah, it
what are we doing?
there's too much going on. They're trying to mix a few too many things together that don't really go together very smoothly,
Right.
and it feels really clunky.
Yeah, I'm very interested to hear what Eric has to say about that because that's one of his favorite songs off of Arrivals and Departures.
Yeah.
I bet you he will not like that, but we'll find out.
Nobody likes to have their favorite songs fucked with.
Right, exactly. So after releasing Redo 1, the first 10 years, the band would release the album that Josh was mistakenly thinking about, Live When Broken Is Easily Fixed, which featured live tracks of all 10 songs from the album from their anniversary tour. Josh approves, apparently,
Yep, the
of the little
vocals
bit that he
are
heard, man.
fantastic.
Oh boy. Now it's going to lead us into 2020's A Beautiful Place to Drown from UNFD Records. Never heard of them. So,
Well,
must be a Canadian thing. Must
this
be
is
a
where we could
hoser.
play that Canadian invasion.
Right, exactly. Canadian invasion. Produced by Sam Giana. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Paul Russo and Jonathan Gehring. Review from Karen, Karen.com, Kerrang.com, stated about the album, quote, while the foundations of ninth album, a beautiful place to drown might seem formulaic. The hell are we doing with these fancy words? Formulaic with a capital F. There's an undeniable brightness and bravado that carries these songs beyond any that they have previously written. High points include The Surging Madness, which features a hard-hitting guest spot from rapper Princess Nokia. I always think of the phone Nokia.
Oh
Every time
yeah,
I hear
I do remember hearing that track. I remember hearing that track.
Beartooth's Caleb Shomo and Simple Plan's Pierre Bouvier also guest on the album. And All on Me pitching vocalist Shane Toll's piercing vocals against. I've never even heard of this word. Languid? Languid? You ever heard of that? It's like language and fluid mixed together. I don't hear you.
Languid?
Languid? I mean, that's how I would say it, languid. I don't know. Piercing vocals against languid electronics and a saxophone. A saxophone, people. A saxophone. Let that one sink in. Sticking to what they know, Silverstein are truly owning it. So, Josh, I ask you, is Silverstein truly owning it up to this point?
Owning what?
I don't know. They're not really
Are
specific.
they owning how bad these albums are?
Yeah, I'm not really sure. Not really sure.
This is not good. This feels like
He's rubbing his head.
this feels like
Congratulations, Silverstein. You gave him a headache.
Yeah, this feels like they should be touring with probably Memphis Mayfire, Sleeping with Sirens, I Prevail, like all those bands, like they've kind of started to fall into that
Escape the Fate,
area, Oh,
Falling in Reverse.
God. Yeah. Terrible. Terrible.
I'm loving your reaction right now. This is
I don't
genuine.
know. I'm like scrolling through a few of these songs right now too. I'm like, I remember not enjoying this morning. But I was able to pick out a lot of the guest vocal spots. Aaron Gillespie on Infinite.
Yeah. Yep.
I didn't know who it was, but
Infinite.
I picked up that Princess Nokia.
How do you miss that one? I mean,
weird
how
little
could you miss
line there. And I figured that was what's his face from Simple Plan in Take What You Give.
Pierre.
Every pop punk vocalist has their own specific like droll,
Right.
and his is also very defining.
Yep, that's him.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, and Aaron Gillespie goes with that too, for sure.
Yeah.
Easily, you could, like you said, you could easily pick him out. The saxophone guy he goes by Saxel Rose.
Saxel Rose.
That's actually
pretty
cool.
good. That's pretty good.
And maybe that actually may be the highlight on this album.
It's the saving grace of the album.
It's the only thing that saved it. Yeah, I don't know.
It doesn't say. I'm seeing that like it doesn't say who some of the guest spots are on the last album for some reason.
On Misery Made Me?
Yeah. Oh wait, here we go. It does on the deluxe.
Yeah, I only know two of them. You got on Misery Made Me, you have Andrew Neufeld from Comeback Kid and Mike Karanka from Devil Wears Prada. Those are the only two that I know of. There's two other. There's like a full band, and then there's like an individual guy. But I don't recognize either one of those.
There's like Nothing Nowhere, and then Trevor Daniel.
Trevor Daniel, yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember who Trevor Daniel is. But I really thought I recognize him.
Who? Trevor Daniel?
Yeah, like I recognize him,
Are you looking
but
at a picture of him?
yeah, I don't know. I mean, it looks like
Trevor Daniel.
he's got some
Oh,
of his like own stuff. Like it's just like
but he's just like an
solo stuff that I'm
individual. Yeah.
seeing. Yeah. Anyway,
Pop
but
R&B and rap. So yeah, he must just be an artist. Hmm. I don't know. That's interesting.
I thought that I heard Andrew DiGiorio on there though.
Who?
Andrew DiGiorio from Straight from the Path.
No, just Andrew Neufeld of Comeback Kid, Trevor Daniel, Nothing Nowhere, and Mike Karanka from
Okay.
Aronica, however you say his name. H is probably silent of Devil Wears Prada. But going back to Beautiful Place to Drown, songs on that album include Bad Habits featuring Aaron Marshall of Intervals, Burn It Down featuring Caleb Shomo of Beartooth, Where Are You? Infinite featuring Aaron Gillespie of Underoath, Shapeshift, All on Me featuring Saxel Rose, Sweet Licks of Saxel Rose. You also
Oh
have
God.
Madness, Madness featuring Princess Nokia. Hello. Say Yes, Stop, September 14th, Coming Down, and the finale, Take What You Give, featuring Pierre Bouvier of Simple Plan. So, not a fan, huh? Not a fan.
It doesn't do anything
No,
for me.
does nothing, people. Nothing but give him a headache. I don't think I've seen Josh rub his face so much when he talked about an album on this podcast as
I
much
just
as he did.
I hate hearing an album like that. Some like I like to call
Just
it
about to say, describe it. Yeah,
I
describe it.
like to call it popcore.
Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Um
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We're not even
and
hoser core anymore, people. What happened to hoser core?
yeah, it to me it feels very popcore and I don't know, I'm just not a fan. Like the musics aren't really usually about anything. Oh look, we've got the same line in one of these tracks that Simple Plan put in one of their albums like 10 years prior. Um, like they're too old to have lyrics like this that's just like a bunch of teen angst shit. And
Right.
that's my beef with a lot of bands right now. It's my beef with Blink 182. Like we're gonna pretend that we're like 20 forever, even though
Yeah.
we're all like 50 or plus. Like
Right.
I don't yeah. So I don't know.
Oh
It just
man.
doesn't do it for me.
Yeah.
I hate hearing an album like this.
Let's go ahead and close the book on that one. Move on to a new chapter here. Starting in January 2020, the band embarked on a 20th anniversary tour celebrating the release of Discovering the Waterfront, which we talked about before. I'd already done a 10-year anniversary tour for it. But they would play the album in full, plus some greatest hits. A day after the band released the album, A Beautiful Place to Drown, the band would make a stop on tour in Sayreville, New Jersey, and record their live set at the Starland Ballroom. This set would be released in 2022 and entitled as Live at the Starland. And obviously, if you were living under a rock up until this point, and the first thing you've heard in 3 years is our podcast, just like every other band in the world at this time in 2020, specifically March and April of 2020, the band would end up having to cancel their second half of their 20th anniversary tour for Discovering the Waterfront due to what? What is this thing called COVID? I don't even know what that is. Never even heard of it before. So yeah, that's just like everybody else. Silverstein was affected by COVID. We already talked about Redo 2, which they released during the pandemic, which seems about right because a lot of bands were doing these releases of re-recordings and such at this time. While waiting for the pandemic to subside, the band would start to write material for their new album. The band started teasing new material for the album a year in advance of its release with singles such as Bankrupt, It's Over, and Ultraviolet. That new release is 2022's Misery Made Me on UNFD Records. Are you saying something?
Curtis, I'd love to read you some lyrics here.
Now, where are these from?
These are from Ultraviolet.
Okay, let's hear it.
Do you believe in things unseen? Because something strange has a hold on me. Is it chemical? Supernatural. As it unfolds, I'm learning I have no control. Can't feel the lows or the highs. Doesn't stop when I try to fight it. I get lost in the ultraviolet. Can I rewire my head when all the connections are dead? Doesn't stop when I try to fight it, because I get lost in the ultraviolet. What the fuck does that mean?
Oh my gosh. What did I just read? Yeah, I was just about that's funny because I was just about to ask you. Now, explain that to me like I'm a 5-year-old.
Let's
What does that even
let's just take
mean?
those lyrics and that level of what the hell and apply it to the rest of the album. And that's pretty much what you're looking at here.
Oh boy.
There are a couple of like high points for me only on those guest spots, honestly. And it's just because I'm like, oh, nice. Like, there's always what's his face. But aside from those, like the rest of this album, none of this does anything for me.
Yeah, it's
I didn't
I'd
skip
said
anything on the album,
right.
there wasn't anything that was completely
Did
100% insufferable.
did you
But
skip anything on A Beautiful Place?
no,
Okay. So he got it through it, people.
yeah.
Um well, I mean, again, for me, like I said earlier when we were talking about Dead Reflection, I don't like these. I don't love these albums. I don't hate them. They're okay. They're just albums in the discography, and the catchiness of some of these songs get stuck in my head. So yeah, there's a few that I like off of these 3 albums. Um, the one though that I really do like that stands out on off of these three is I really do like the Altar slash Mary. I do like that one, even though there is some digital drum beats in the background, but um I think towards the middle of it. But I think it's a pretty good song. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I didn't skip anything on any of these albums, and I listened to each one twice through just to really give myself a foundation of like, okay, yeah, this is how I really feel about it, not just like a one time, feeling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what more I can say about Silverstein in this second half of discography, man. Because I think I've put it all out there. I just don't. I don't know. But yeah, songs on this album include our song "Die Alone" featuring Andrew Neufeld of Comeback Kid, "Ultraviolet," which Josh shares some lyrics to, "Cold Blood" featuring Trevor Daniel, "It's Over," "The Altar slash Mary," "Slow Motion" featuring Mike Ranica of The Devil Wears Prada, "Don't Wait Up," "Bankrupt," "Live Like This" featuring Nothing Nowhere, and the finale "Misery." I like the little cash register sound effect in Bankrupt. Cha-ching! Because that'll make it better, right?
I hate this song.
Which one?
Bankrupt.
Bankrupt? Oh, okay.
I told you I hate these little songs like this that like are are the one little anthem track on the album, that's like trying to make a statement about something and it just like falls so hard on its face.
Dang, what was there's oh man. I don't remember I don't remember which song it is. But it's one off of
The
these
world is a
3 albums.
cancer and it's coming for you, man.
This is a song off of one of these three albums. I don't remember what it is, which one it is, but there's a part where it's like they're playing, it's like da 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 da, and I just felt like
Ugh.
myself, just like comedically, just like doing random things throughout the day, or whatever, and just be like, hey, hey. I don't know, because I just thought it was like, oh, this is kind of cheesy, kind of corny. I don't know.
Money talks, but time is going deaf. What?
Let,
What does that mean? What does that mean? Money talks, but time is going deaf?
yeah, I don't know, man.
Okay, all right. What else do you have to say about this album?
Well, I was just gonna say, I think it was listening to this one. Um, Somebody had put in the YouTube comment section, like the top comment was something about Silverstein, would you do us all a favor? Feel like this, Silverstein, would you do us all a favor and put out a bad album?
What the hell? Who said that?
I don't know, some fan in the comment section of YouTube. I mean, look, some people, this does it for them, you know. For those people, I would like to know what they think about the early stuff, you know.
Right. I
I
mean,
don't know,
it
man.
feels like two different bands.
Yeah. Let me ask you this though. Which feels more like two different bands? Silverstein's discography or Vanna's discography? I'm going Vanna. It's close, but I'm going Vanna.
I don't know, man, because there over these last couple albums, there are a stretch of mini songs where you can't tell it's Shane. Like, I don't
You just
know.
think it's because his vocals have changed so much, or he's trying a different
He's
style?
doing different style for sure.
Okay. He definitely changed up his like screams. He kind of gets more into kind of like a yell at times, you know?
Yeah,
Almost kind of like a spoken word yell. But I don't know, man.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
No.
I would listen to one of these albums over listening to um
He can't think of one.
yeah, I don't know. I can't even think of like I would listen to these albums over having to listen to a Memphis Mayfire album that wasn't Sleepwalking or
Early.
yeah.
Okay. Well, that's their discography. Final thing I'm going to say is in honor of the 15th anniversary of their third album release, Arrivals and Departures, the band uh, would have the album remixed and remastered and re-released. So it's not even re-recorded; it was just remixed and remastered.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. If you want to listen to that, it's on YouTube and their Bandcamp page. I might have to go check that out. Just see production wise what they would have done differently. Because I remember going back to talking about Arrivals and Departures. They talked about the production. They weren't very happy with it later on, which leads me to my next question, Josh. As we talked about in that very first episode, Shane Toll had a comment from 2018, I believe, where he commented on he commented on Rivals and Departures, saying it was, quote, their worst album. All right, Josh, here we are. We made it through 3 episodes, all of the discography. What say you, Josh? Does that comment hold true to you? Or do you think there's another album that's their worst one? And can you pinpoint that one out for me?
I mean, I think at the time, okay, no, so he said that after Dead Reflection.
Yeah, 2018. So after Dead Reflection.
Ooh. I like Arrivals and Departures more than I still think I like Arrivals and Departures more than anything past I'm Alive.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't think I don't
I would
know.
agree.
They're
And I'm
clearly
not a
like
huge fan of Arrivals and Departures.
they were changing direction, you know?
Yeah, obviously.
Like they're changing directions and they get into God damn. I still can't believe though that he said that at that point. Like after I Am Alive, to me that feels like kind of weird. And then Dead
It's the
Reflection is just
change. Yeah.
shifting more. Yeah. I think he's just happy with their new sound by that point.
Mm, mm,
And looks so he doesn't see Dead Reflection or I Am Alive as, you know,
yeah.
like I do. That's the nicest way to put that. Like I do.
Oh man.
So, yeah, I don't know. I like Arrivals. I don't hate that one.
Okay. Well, like I said, we've made it to the end of the discography here. I will say, for me, this has been therapeutic. It's been really nice. It's been a nice little nostalgia trip. And to be honest with you, it's gotten me back into Silverstein because I hadn't really been listening to them a whole lot, man. I mean, they've been there, but just like after short songs came out, they just kind of fell off my radar. Not because I didn't like them anymore. It was just like, other things came a priority. My interests changed.
Yeah.
And so now being able to go back and listen to their whole discography again for these last couple of weeks and really, diving into, their sound and everything, it's really got me back into it, man. It's really got me back into it. And I found the polar bear shirt. So even better,
It's
buddy.
all
That
coming
made my
together.
night. It's all coming together. Master plan. Yes. So
You're
yeah, I'm
you're
excited.
that you're that video of the kid who's like, I got pizza rolls in the microwave. I got a new girlfriend. I just got a new
What was that?
Xbox or whatever. He was like, everything is amazing right now.
Yeah, what was that video?
It was just like a mom like recording her kid. He was talking on the phone to his friend.
Man,
It's
that was
all
like an
over
old
everything.
was it?
Like I see it on TikTok. I see it,
No,
yeah,
was it an
like
old video or not?
it's not that old.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay. I
it's a
feel
few
like it's
years.
okay. Give us your final thoughts, Josh. Overall feeling of Silverstein as a whole. Any
Um,
unsaid things maybe you wanna say now? Because we're
no,
we're closing the book.
I'm still a fan. Um, I hadn't really listened to anything originally past Arrivals and Departures.
Mhm.
So everything after that was brand new for me. I will say that probably like when I'm listening to some Silverstein, I will also be adding Shipwreck onto that. And I'll also be adding probably Rescue, at least some of the tracks on there. Short Songs is a good gimmick album, but I think we talked about that. Like, it's kind of a weird one for them.
Yeah.
Um, it would be totally normal for like, a punk band or something, but it's a little odd for them.
Like daughters or something, but
Yeah, even how This Is How the Wind Shifts, like I enjoyed that album too. But once we get past there, you got the first like three or four tracks on I Am Alive, and then it kind of falls apart for me.
okay.
So,
Cool. Alrighty, man. Well, that is Silverstein. You got a thought? Wait a minute.
oh no, I was hearing
Thinking.
something that I could not identify, but I figured it
Oh,
out.
oh God, who's about to kill me? Cool. Yep, that is Silverstein in a nutshell. Form your own opinion, as always. Your opinions more than likely will not align up with ours. But it's our podcast, which means our opinions. Um, yeah.
Are the only ones that
So
count.
yeah, they're the only ones that count. So yeah.
No. Um, if the older stuff is more what you're into, that kind of popcore sound, then those later albums are what you're gonna like. Luckily, there's like kind of a major transition period in the middle here.
Mhm.
So somebody who likes, the new stuff, but wouldn't like the old stuff, would still probably like Arrivals on,
Right.
or maybe even after arrivals from Shipwreck on.
Mm-hmm.
So there's
Sure.
there's a lot out there for you with this band, I think, is
Yeah. Cool. Alrighty, man. Let's head on out of here, man. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at @IsSurvivedByPro for news and the latest episode postings, not just on this show, folks, but our other shows as well. We have the History of the Corps After Hours podcast with my friend and avid listener of this podcast right here, Eric. Sit down with him and kind of an interview / chill out session where we talk about some of the bands that me and Josh have already talked about, and I get his opinion on those bands and such. We also have the Red Right Hand podcast, which so far has covered all 6 seasons. I don't know why I said so far, which has covered all 6 seasons of the Peaky Blinders, soon to be the movie, if it ever gets, made. And we do have a brand new episode that we are about to record tomorrow. Ain't that right, Josh? Getting back on the old Red Right Hand podcast, the OG of Is Survived by Productions. That's where it all began.
I hope you're doing that episode because I don't know what the hell's going on.
Yeah, no. I'm leading that one. Yeah, I'm leading it. Then you also have the Throne of the Dragon podcast, which so far, that's where I'm trying to say so far, has covered season 1, soon to be season 2 of House of the Dragon from HBO. We also have a brand new episode of that being recorded tomorrow to be released this week.
You're doing that one too, right?
No. So there was a guy, his name was Aegon. He's pretty crazy at times, but not as crazy as his offspring. Yeah. No, so go ahead.
You read the chapter, right?
No, I'm reading it tonight.
Okay.
I'm all the way up to it. Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say give me like a 1-minute synopsis of what you've read, but you haven't read it,
so okay, 1-minute synopsis. The title, I don't even remember what the title is.
That's a bad start.
Great.
All right,
that's a bad start. Moving on. Yeah, so that'll be coming up, all about Aegon's conquest so far. So join us for that. Join us, won't you? Also, while you're on Twitter, make sure to follow my co-host at Joshua Lynn Gary. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review and write us a comment on whatever podcast service you're using. There you go, Josh. This is your spot. This is your time to shine. Give us a smile. Look into the camera. If you want to listen to us and see our smiling faces, head on over. Oh God, here he comes, right into your living room, people. Head on over to our YouTube page. Just search Is Survived by Productions, and that'll have every episode from all of our shows. Subscribe to the channel. Thumbs up the video. One more thing I thought about. I can't believe I kept forgetting to say it on this at the beginning of this episode and on the last episode. But dude, at random times, I don't remember if you remember this from the first episode, but at random times, I'll remember when you were talking about Shane Toll's like theatrics live, where it's like he's grabbing the microphone, he's kind of like, wrestling back and forth. And I said something about, so it looks like he's like trying to wrestle a ghost for the microphone or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I saw like something live this past week again, and he was doing that. I just like died laughing from that, man. That's pretty funny. Yeah, so no idea what we're gonna do next, huh? We don't know if we're gonna go back to the States or we chilling in Canada still. Any idea? None?
I'm going back and forth.
Okay.
I know
do you have some bands in mind?
Well, I know we need to show the ladies of the chorus some love.
Yes. Yeah, I'm getting a little pushback from that, man.
So yeah, I don't know. I'm going back and forth. Maybe we can find a way to combine it and find a Canadian artist, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not 100%, but we'll tease it on the 2 episodes that are about to come out of our other shows.
Ooh, crossover. A history of the right hand dragon podcast. Cool, man. Like it. Alrighty, until next time, whether it be in the States or still here in Canada, we will see you then.